I kind of went on a binge with these. I say a binge. I had plans to make a bunch of these and I only ended up making 2. Well, so far I've only finished 1 pair. Hey, hey. Oh boy, do I have some yarn adventures for you today. It has been a while since my last podcast, and honestly, I don't even know where to start. My desk is slap full of WIPS and finished items. I cannot tell you how many times I sat down to get organized, and it just got really overwhelming. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to get organized. I'm just going to wing it. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. My name is Nikki and I am the crocheter, knitter, and yarn dyer behind Avery Lane Creations and ALC Yarns. This is the podcast where I share all of my yarn adventures with you. Let's go ahead and dive into finished items. Y'all, I honestly don't even remember what all I have finished. The last time I podcasted, I believe it was in October, and I have finished a bunch of things that have already been gifted. So if I remember, I will talk about them and I will just post pictures of the items that have been gifted on the screen. The finished items are in no particular order. I'm just kind of grabbing from the pile that's on my desk. So first up is a pair of gloves. I kind of went on a binge with these. I say a binge. I had plans to make a bunch of these and I only ended up making 2. Well, so far I've only finished 1 pair and I have another pair that is almost finished, but we'll get to that in a minute. This pattern is by Tin Can Knits and it's called The World's Simplest Mittens, and really they are very simple. In full transparency, I was very hesitant to make these because of the thumb. I was really intimidated by it, but I will say I made it way more complicated in my brain than it had to be, so the thumb really wasn't hard at all. And Tin Can Knits has this really cool app that literally just takes you through the pattern. So it keeps track of where you're at in the pattern for you. It makes knitting so much easier. It has really spoiled me, and I really wish there was an app like that for all patterns. This colorway is called Gemstone Jammies, and it is a colorway from one of my yarn subscription boxes. I want to say it was like September or October's main colorway, and the theme that month was Pajama Party. Y'all, it was such a fun month. The colorways and the goodies, oh my goodness. One of the goodies was some popcorn, and it's like peanut butter cups and popcorn mixed. So good. I really had trouble staying out of those. Of course, when the extras come in, I've got to try them and make sure I'm sending out stuff that's good. So I tried them a couple of times. Hope I don't see it in the grocery store because I'm not going to be able to resist. A little side quest there, back to the World's Simplest Mittens. This really is such a fun pattern and it works up pretty quickly. Now I really need to ship these off to my mom. So again, this is The World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. Oh, and I used worsted weight yarn. So that is one of the reasons why it worked up so quickly. And the pattern is written for, I want to say 4 different yarn weights. It's been a while since I've worked the pattern, but I want to say it is written for fingering weight, DK, worsted, and even a chunky weight. Next up is a pair of socks. Y'all, I love making DK weight socks. I started these on, let me see here. I started these on 117 and finished them on 124 because I just couldn't put them down. And I had so much fun going through my DK weight scraps to do the heel and the toe. This was my, I keep wanting to say this was January's colorway, but it is not January's colorway. This was my December ALC Yarn Club's main colorway. The name of it is Maybe It's Cold Outside. I forgot how much I love DK weight socks, and that's all I want to do now is make DK weight socks. These are a gift for one of my aunts. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous because these turned out so pretty and I wanted to keep them, but I know that she will enjoy them. Also, I feel like I need to explain this right here. Okay, so on the first sock, I just got to going and didn't pay any attention after I finished the heel. So I picked up all the gusset stitches with the heel colorway, and so that's where this line came from. But you know what? It's just unique. So I just made sure that both of them match. That is one of my mottos and one of my tips for anybody that is new to like crocheting or knitting is if you're going to make a mistake, just be consistent. Nobody will know. So I made a mistake, I made it consistent, and now it's art. It's unique and pretty. So that's my story. I was not going to rip back. I'm like, nope, I'm going with it. It's a thing now. It's a whole thing. The pattern that I use for this is the DK Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. I'm just obsessed with her vanilla sock pattern. It's just so easy. And I tried branching out to some pattern socks and I just keep coming right back to Kay's vanilla sock pattern. I knew that once I started a pair of DK weight socks that it was going to start a whole binge, but honestly, it's worth it. They just work up so fast. So after I finish these, I immediately cast on another pair of DK weight socks. So I will show you those once we get to the WIPS section. Next up is a beanie hat. Y'all, I went on a beanie binge. It's been a thing since I started crocheting. I have lost count of how many beanies I have either crocheted or knit at this point. It's another one of those things that when I make one, I'm going to make a half a dozen or more. They are just so fun to make. So this is the, I don't know. So this is the M beanie. I've been calling it M beanie. I don't know if it's actually EM or if it's like M. So I've just been calling it the M beanie. It is a free pattern by EM Knits. And it works up so fast. Of course, one of the reasons it works up fast is because this is worsted weight yarn, but I just love the look of it. It has this cute little brim here, and then it's just a plain stockinette body from there. This colorway is one of my colorways called Light Bright. It was from, I think it was the year before last that I had a, what was it? I can't remember the exact name of the theme, but basically it was like a throwback month and it was so much fun. If you are an 80s or early 90s child, you know all about a Light Bright, and so that was what this colorway, that was what inspired this colorway. My worsted weight yarn stash has kind of gotten out of control. So it's been really nice to pull from my worsted weight bin and make hats or gloves or whatever. And I'm collecting all of the scraps for my scrappy blanket. This is the EM beanie. It is a free pattern by EM Knits, and I will post the link in the description of this video. Also, in true Nicky fashion, the ends just haven't been weaved in yet. I will get to them eventually. Okay, remember I said that I went on a hat binge? I wasn't kidding. Here is another hat that I made. I used the pattern by Pearl Soho, and I can't remember the name of the pattern. It has a really long name. It's like super soft merino hats for the family or something like that. It's just a basic beanie pattern. What I really liked about it is the 3x3 ribbing. You do three knit stitches and 3 purl stitches, and I just loved the look of that. And this is some yarn that I did a collab with Knitting Fever. And I have the tag right here. A little tip for those of you that are not quite organized like me. I took a little bit of the yarn and tied it around the yarn sleeve so I could keep track of the name of it and the color. This is yarn by Jody Long, and I actually reviewed this yarn. So I will post links to the yarn reviews that I did with Knitting Fever. They're actually on their YouTube channel. So you can get more information about this yarn. I was looking to see if there was a name for this colorway, but there's not. But the yarn brand name is Jody Long, and it's the Andiamo Twist. I just love the look of this yarn. And being bulky weight, this hat worked up super fast. And look, I did go ahead and weave the ends in. And surprise, surprise, another chunky beanie. This is the same pattern by Pearl Soho. And I used yarn. What yarn did I use? I used some more yarn from Knitting Fever. This is Mirasol Llama Hasa. Y'all, this is like 100% baby llama. You know what? Let me get a yarn tag because I'm just making stuff up at this point, or I'm going by what's in my head that I can't really remember. So let me find a yarn tag before. Okay, I actually think my memory was correct. This is Mirasol Llama Hasa, and it is 100% baby llama, y'all. This yarn is so soft. Like, I want a big chunky scarf made with this because I just want it up by my face. It is so squishy soft. I've made so many hats with this yarn. I think this is hat number 4 now, and I've gifted the other ones. I also did a yarn review for this yarn, and I will post a link below to that video. Here is another beanie that I made. I made 2 of these in the same color with the same pom-pom for my 2 little cousins, and they just turned out so adorable. So I was able to get 2 child-size hats out of 1 hank of yarn. So I was really tickled with that. That's the good thing about knitting, is it actually uses less yarn. So I think that turned out super adorable. I also finished the muscle burr hat for one of my cousins, and this is the colorway called Nautical. It's looking really light on this screen. Whoops. Stop. Okay, it's looking kind of light on this screen, but it's more of like this color right here. So this has already been shipped off and sent to him, or I would show it to you. So I'm actually going to put a picture of it up on the screen so you can see it better. So this is another finished hat. If you've never made a muscle burr hat before, you just basically make one long tube, and then you put one end of the tube into the other end, and you have this double knit hat. And it's super warm and comfortable. I just went ahead and sewed those 2 ends together so that way it won't come back apart, because I feel like it's going to be easier for him to wash and take care of that way. I kind of went back and forth about it. I think that's what I'm going to do going forward for any muscle burr hats that I gift, so that way it's a lot easier for them to take care of, because I can only imagine if you're not a knitter, or if you're not a knitter or crocheter and you have this hat that you wash and it comes out like a tube, you're just kind of like, what do I do with this now? I just thought that would be a lot easier for him to take care of. Okay, I have one more hat to show you. And this is another Pearl Soho basic beanie hat, and some more yarn that I reviewed for Knitting Fever. I might have just made that last part up. I can't remember if this is one of the ones that I reviewed for them. Y'all, so much has happened since my last podcast. I can't keep things straight. Okay, so I take it back. I don't think this is one of the yarns that I reviewed for them, but it is one of the yarns that they sent me. Oh, I see it right here in my stash. Let's find out. Okay, it is not one of the yarns that I reviewed, but I will say it is absolutely amazing. Love this yarn. The brand is Araucania, and this is a marled blend of alpaca and Cordell wool. See what I mean about beanies? I can't just make one. I also made some sassy fingerless gloves for my mom, and I actually think that they were WIPS in my last podcast, and my mom came to visit not long after my last podcast, so I was able to gift them to her while she was here, and I got some pictures of them. So here is one of the pairs. And this is actually one of my designs. This is the Sassy Fingerless Gloves. And this colorway was from one of my summer ALC Yarn Club packages. And I cannot remember for the life of me the name of this colorway. I think it's, let me just look it up real quick. The name of this colorway is Flip Flops and Fun in the Sun. I just love that name. So much fun. I started these on 10/16 and finished them on 10/18. They work up so fast. All right, I had another pair that I made for my mom, and let's see if I can find those. Here is the other pair, and this colorway was from that same month, and the name of this colorway is You Had Me at Aloe. Y'all, I just cracked myself up with some of these names. I knew that my mom would love these colors, so I set both skeins of this yarn aside so I could make her some fingerless gloves. While I'm here and I'm just looking through my phone, I'm going to go ahead and show you some more items that I made and I have gifted. Here is a pair of socks that I made for my cousin. These are so much fun, and I cannot remember the name of this colorway either, so let me see if I have it in my notes. Here we go. This was pair 15 for 2024, and the name of this colorway is called Candied Mermaid Lemonade. It was July 2024's ALC Yarn Club main colorway, and that theme was oh so sweet. So the pattern that I used, again, surprise, surprise, is Vanilla Socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. I had a lot of fun with these socks. I thought it was so cool to change up the heel, to alternate the colors for the heel and the toe. So this is looking a little blue, but it's actually like a really bright purple. I have to put my phone down now because I'm sure that there are so many more in there that I'm forgetting, but we're going to move on. I just finished this yesterday. This is an easy peasy knit dishcloth. This is my one and only knit pattern design. I just love it because your dishcloth turns out so nice without having to block it. The yarn that I use for this is my favorite cotton yarn. It is Queensland Collection Coastal Cotton, and the colorway is called Bondi Beach. I really need to update all of my dishcloths. So many of them, they are so old. I'm going to try to at least make one of these a month, but my problem is I want to gift all of them as soon as I make them. Last finished item is another pair of vanilla socks, and again, this pattern is by Kay at the Crazy Sock Lady. This is one of my friends Cheryl at Hypnotic Yarns. This is one of her colorways that was in one of her Yarnable subscription boxes. I can't remember the name of it and the tag is long gone, but this is for an aunt and I just knew that she would like this colorway. That is a wrap for finished items, at least the finished items that I can find and that I remember doing. Now let's get to my works in progress. Y'all, I have so many WIPs, and I know that this is not surprising if you have been watching this podcast for any length of time. I finally had to just be like, okay, I'm only going to talk about WIPs that I'm currently working on or like worked on in the last month or so. So here we are. And just like my finished items, these are in no particular order at all. I am just grabbing from the pile that is on my desk. So here is a surprise, surprise, vanilla sock, and I'm sure by now you already know whose pattern it is. It is the Crazy Sock Lady's vanilla sock pattern. I told you it's really the only pattern that I use. And the yarn that I used is one that I reviewed for Knitting Fever, and the brand is Araucania, and it is their Huasco Sock Twilight Paints series. Y'all, I have really enjoyed this yarn. I kind of broke my own rule and I haven't cast on the second sock yet, but I was kind of in a hurry when I had all this yarn to review. I really wanted to finish an item with the yarn. So I literally just whipped up a sock, and then I went to the other ones and like whipped up a hat real quick. And then I got distracted by other whips. So I have not finished the second sock, but I plan to. I love the way that this yarn worked up and how you have that striping, that natural striping there of the darker teal color. So I'm very, very picky about my sock yarn. I actually prefer like an 85-15 base because it is so soft. And I know that a lot of sock knitters prefer like a 75-25 base where it is 75% superwash merino wool and like 25% nylon. But I have always preferred the 85-15. This base is 75% superwash merino wool and 25% polyamide. So I was really surprised at how much I loved this base. There's only one other sock base that is a 75-25 blend that I like, and it is my friend Christy at Stitching with Yarn. I'm completely obsessed with her sock weight base. It feels so good. I think I already mentioned that I did a yarn review with Knitting Fever for this, so I will post a link to that review video below. Next up, I don't even remember what I shoved in this project bag, but this project bag is one of my favorites. It is by Katie's Randomness. Y'all, she has some super cute project bags. One of the things that I love about this project bag is the pocket on the outside. Like, this is so handy. And I love the drawstring and the little handle here. So I don't even know what's in this bag because I keep switching it out. I am constantly like rotating projects through here. So you're going to be just as surprised as I am. Oh, okay. It is a sock whip. So you saw this colorway in my finished whips. This is Gemstone Jammies. I absolutely love jewel tones. So I couldn't resist making a pair of socks. I gotta get this undone. I'm so sorry. Okay. So I couldn't resist making a pair of socks with this colorway. And again, it's vanilla socks. And this is fingering weight yarn. Look how pretty that is working up. I started these on 111, and this is the first sock. So I think I just made it past. I am still working on the decreases after the heel. So I got a ways to go. Next whip is, this is another one of those project bags that I just absolutely love. So I'm kind of surprised at what is in this. This bag is from Charming Necessities. Let me double check here. This bag is from Charming Necessities. This is a new bag maker to me. And this bag was gifted to me by one of my super sweet and precious friends. Y'all, it was just one of those gifts that was just like perfect timing and exactly what I needed, and just a bright spot in my week. So I just absolutely cherish this bag. And it came with something that I didn't even know that I needed, a little yarn bowl. I am really obsessed with these because, as you saw with my sock whip, everything just gets tangled in my bag. So what I've been trying to do is put my yarn in here, and then when I put everything back down in my bag, it doesn't get tangled. But I don't always do that. And it also came with the DPN pouch. Of course, it matched this fabric, but I think I have that DPN pouch in a different project bag. And I have since placed an order with Charming Necessities to get a few more because I really, really love DPNs. I know that is so strange, but I really like using DPNs now. So here is her card. It is Charming Necessities, and I will post a link to her shop below because she has some really, really cute stuff. Did I even tell you what WIP this was? I just had shiny object syndrome there for a minute and was telling you all about this bag. Okay, let me get focused here. Okay, so this is the other Tin Can Knits World's Simplest Mitten WIP. That is a mouthful that I'm working on, and I cannot remember the name of this colorway. Let's see if I wrote it down. I did not. Oh well. I know what it is. It's Glow with the Flow, I'm pretty sure. And it was another ALC Yarn Club colorway, and I know I have some of this still in the yarn shop. So the second glove is just about finished except for the thumb. Y'all, these are the things that hold me up, okay? I want to do a video tutorial for a friend for the thumb, and I just haven't been able to find the time, but life is settling down now, so I should be able to get to it. So that is the reason why this is not finished, is because I told a friend that I would do a video tutorial for her months ago. I'm so sorry. And here it is. Also, really cool trick is to put the thumb stitches on one of these cords. Then what I do is, let's just steal one of these DPNs, okay? I put this cord on my needle, then you just pull. Okay, we're not going to do it right now, but basically you just move those stitches around and gently shove the stitches on your needle and then get to work. It just makes things so much simpler. And also, in order to get these stitches onto this cord, I use a bent tip needle and just flick them off of the needle onto the cord. It has made life so much easier. Let me put this back before I forget. So this pattern is the World's Simplest Mittens by Tin Can Knits. I used worsted weight yarn. I have really enjoyed this pattern, and I'm surprised that I've only made 2 pairs because I had plans to make a whole bunch, but I'm pretty sure I just got distracted by some other project and went on another binge. One of the projects that has really been consuming a lot of my time is, I'm calling this my Advent Infinity Scarf. It is based very loosely off of the Wallop cowl pattern. I've already made one of these Wallop cowls. I have been wearing my Wallop cowl like crazy since we had a cold snap here. That is what made me want to make another one because I just love it so much. And there's a lot of times at work that if it's cold, I'll just wear it almost all day around my neck. I really wanted to make another one, and I wanted this one to be a little different. So what I did is I took my ALC Yarns Advent Calendar from, I didn't have one in 2024. So 2023, the Advent Calendar was 12 50-gram skeins of yarn. So what I'm doing is I started out with one color, and I'm doing 12 sections of each color, and then I'm going to repeat them one more time. And in between each section, I'm doing this tonal, and this tonal is called Nautical. And I just think that having the tonal in between the colors is making those colors pop. And y'all, I haven't been able to put this down. So I was on a roll for a while, and then I ran out, or I was about to run out of this color. And I went back and forth about switching to a different tonal for the next half of the scarf. And I went back and forth. And if you follow me on Instagram, I was in my stories a lot about this. And I think the reason why I never would settle on a color is because this navy blue looks so good that I don't think another color would have done it justice. So I decided to just go ahead and dye more yarn. I don't know why, but I did not want to dye more yarn for this. I even went through, so I have some minis in the shop with all of my colors from my fall collection. I went through and even added up what I had to see if it would get me, and it wouldn't. I'm like, Nikki, you're just gonna have to dye some yarn and get over it. So I dyed yarn and got over it. Waiting on the yarn to dry kind of got me off of my streak, I guess. I haven't been working on this exclusively like I was before that, but I'm still really enjoying this project. So I've been calling this my Advent Infinity Scarf because the wall-up cowl is kind of confusing because a lot of people think of it as a cowl, but really it's just a big, long infinity scarf. And I have veered so far away from that pattern that I didn't want to like kind of steer people wrong if they wanted to make one like mine by getting that pattern, because I really didn't even follow the pattern. Like I didn't even cast on the amount of stitches that it calls for. For this wall-up cowl, I did use the correct size needles, but my other one, I didn't even use the needles that they called for. So I'd highly recommend the pattern. I think would be super fun if I would actually follow the pattern, but I got the idea for doing all of the lace rows the same way from Kay at the Crazy Sock Lady. And then I just loved the first one so much, but wanted something a little different. And I was talking to a friend about it, and I'm pretty sure this was her idea. Or I had said something about it, and like she took it a little bit further, and I'm like, okay, yes, we're doing that. So I don't really remember, but the pattern, I really just haven't even looked at the pattern. So this is the Advent Infinity Scarf, and it is going to be massive. What I really wanted is my other one, I can wrap around twice, and very tightly, I can take the third wrap and kind of like cover my ears with it. So I really wanted something that I could at least wrap around 3 times, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to do that with this. So I have this all organized in this huge bag by Charming Necessities. I just love the basket project bags, and I really love the handles being on the side because I have this huge area where I can just literally shove my project in there. So this is the current color that I'm using, then this is going to be the next color after that. Also, I want to tell you a little trick. I've been meaning to post about this in my stories on Instagram, but I'm a better talker outer than a typer outer, so I didn't really know how to explain it. And I really just didn't know how to type it out to where it would make sense. So I want to tell you a little trick that I do. So after I do this little lace section here, I do 4 more rows after it. So my little trick is I just put 4 of these stitch markers on my beginning of round marker here. Then I'll knit a row and I'll take it off. And then I knit another row and I take the next one off. Knit another row, take the next one off. And then I know when I take the last one off that I have I know when I take the last one off that I have no more rows to knit. Then I add the next color in. This way, if I stop what I'm doing, I'm not like, oh goodness, I have to count. Which row was I on? How many more rows do I need? Just a little hack on how I keep track of which row I'm on. For anyone else that loves little tricks like that, that keeps their project mindless. At one point, I had all of the yarn in this bag and I had no room for my project. So that is why I came up with that little system, and I like it so much better. And then I can just dive into this little basket of goodness for my next color. And this basket is by my super talented friend at the Knitted Soiree. I'm obsessed with her basket bags too. Next WIP, told you, I'm obsessed with her basket project bags too. This one is so pretty with the strawberries on it. Okay, this is a beanie that I'm working on. And this pattern is by Tin Can Knits. They have a basic beanie pattern that I don't think it's free. I think it's just a couple of dollars, and it is so worth it because there's so many options. I want to say there's 4 or 5 different yarn weight options. And then you can choose your ribbing. Like if you want to do 1x1 ribbing, 2x2 ribbing, 3x3, or 3x1. I am doing 3x1. So I'm doing 3 knit stitches and then a purl stitch. Ooh, I almost dropped a stitch. And I just love how stretchy it is. And I want to say this is the second. Yes, it is the second. I remember. I forgot to show you in the finished WIPS section. I was not kidding about going on a beanie binge. For this beanie, I did 2x2 ribbing, and it looks so weird, but it really stretches, and I just love the way that it turned out. So this is the basic beanie by Tin Can Knits, and I use some worsted weight yarn for this one in my colorway Camouflage. This one has been gifted. Oh, here's another picture. I think it shows the colors better. I thought I had one that showed it, like I had my hands in it and stretched it out, but I don't see it. I made so many hats that I just stopped writing them down in my notebook. I just would finish one and turn around and start another one. Let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. Also, did you know, okay, let's see what kind of pictures I have here before I show you my phone. There's really not anything bad, but you just never know with me and my dog or my husband. Okay, so I want to show you a trick if you have an iPhone. So if you're on your photo library part, words, you can go to that search button, okay, and then type in like hat or dog or whatever, and then hit search, and it'll pull up all of the pictures with hats in them. Is that not the coolest thing? Because I don't know if you saw it or not, or if it even showed it, but I have like 8,000 photos on my phone. It's kind of overwhelming. Okay, let me get back to what I was doing here. Okay, I found it. So here it is where I have my hand in it and kind of stretched it out. So I really love, like when it's stretched out and somebody's wearing it, I really love the way that it looks. But it looks kind of funny when it's not stretched out. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So that one was 2x2 ribbing. So I did 2 knit stitches, 2 purl stitches for the entire pattern, for the entire hat, until, you got to the end and did decreases, but for the majority of the hat. So this one is similar. It's 3 knit stitches and 1 purl stitch. And this is some yarn that I reviewed for Knitting Fever. This was the only one where I didn't have a finished project. I just kind of ran out of time. This was my first time working with Corriedale yarn, and I was really surprised at how much I loved it. So it is Mirasol Chusku, and it is 100% Corriedale wool. And I will post a link to all 4 reviews that I did for them in the description of this video. We're dwindling down here. There's just a few more. This WIP has been on my needles for a while, and I figured out why. Let me first show you the finished one. So it's second sock. The first one is finished. I love it. I kind of think I'm on a blue kick right now, like a navy kick. I don't know what it is. This is not nautical. This was like a one-of-a-kind mini that I did, but I just love it. And I thought that it would look super pretty with this. I think I'm kind of becoming a neutral girl, like in a way, navy neutral girl, let's say that. But usually I'm all about like a pop of color. But for some reason, I've just been on this neutral-ish kick. But I really like it because, to me, it's making all of these other colors pop. And your eyes aren't drawn to the heel. So maybe that's why. Anyways, sorry. Shiny object syndrome. So this colorway is called Sprinkle Everything. and it was the limited edition colorway for July 2024's ALC Yarn Club's Oh So Sweet themed yarn club. I think it's so funny how I can't remember half the time what I'm about to say or what I walked into a room for, but I can remember yarn club colorways most of the time. Anyways, this is another vanilla sock pattern by guess who? Kay at the Crazy Sock Lady. And this is the second sock. I haven't even finished the decreases after the gusset. I think I know what the problem is. I just don't like 9-inch circulars. What I like about them is that I can just knit. I can just knit. I don't have to stop and shuffle, you know. But there's just something about Magic Loop. It's just my go-to. I don't know why. But I think this is the whole problem. Here I am setting up, ready to knit. I'm just going to knit and talk to you. So I think that's why I haven't finished this, is because it's on these things. And I could easily switch to Magic Loop, but I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to get it finished. But I honestly think that is part of the problem. Yeah. I keep putting these by my chair, like within arm's reach. So I'm hoping that I will just finish them and they just keep getting set further and further away. I will say, I kind of gotten out of the habit now, but one of the things that I was doing in order to finish some of my WIPs is work on what I want to work on, which was mainly my Advent Infinity scarf. So I would work on these, like if I knew I had like 30 minutes to sit, I'd work on these for like 20 minutes. And then I would work on a project that I really want to finish for the other 10 minutes. So it's like I get to do what I want for more than half the time. And then I'm going to do what I want to finish for part of the time. And then after that 10 minutes is up, whatever I have to go do, the next time I get to sit down and knit, I'm going to work on what I want. And y'all, that was working really, really well for me. And then I don't, DK socks happen. And then DK weight socks happened. And now it's like I'm going between my Infinity scarf and DK weight socks. So what a great segue into my last WIP. It is a DK weight sock. I wish I could remember the name of this colorway. I know that it is from one of my sunset theme yarn clubs, but I don't remember which one, but I love it. And I'm still doing the whole use up some scrap weight yarn for the heel. I really wanted to do the heel and the toe, but I forgot to weigh the yarn ball before I did the heel. So I wasn't sure if I would have enough for both heels. And then I got to the toe and I was like, you know what? Samson is asleep and being good. I'm not fisting to get up to get another color for the toe. So we just went with what we had. And I love how they turned out. They're so pretty. So here's the hot mess other side we got going on here. So this is the finished sock and this is the other one. So I'm about to do the heel turn. I'm pretty sure I'm about to do the heel turn. And it got to a point the other night where I was getting sleepy and I'm like, I know better. I'm just going to put it down. So I put it down. My new favorite thing is to use DPNs for the heel. I don't know why, but it makes life so much easier. So that's what I do. This is the second sock and I should have that heel knocked out soon. All right, y'all, that is some of the yarn adventures that I have been on for the last couple of months. It's like I've gone between having lots of time to knit and no time to knit. Now let's talk a little bit about life stuff. So one of the reasons why I have been really absent on here and not posting to social media as regularly. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, I am all about some Instagram stories. I don't know what it is, but it's so much easier to just post to Instagram stories, and I don't have to just do like yarn stuff in my Instagram stories. You can have life stuff going on there, lots of Samson stuff. It's just like posting to my friends of what's going on throughout my day. So my husband fell on our back porch. It was sometime in October. I don't know if it happened the last time I did a podcast or if it happened after that. I can't remember. But he fell on our back porch. So I was out washing yarn and he was helping me. He was also like smoking some food on our smoker, and then he was checking on the pool. We were about to close the pool down for the year. So I know it was like in October. It might have been towards the end of October. I can't remember. Anyways, he was stepping up on the back porch to come down to the end that I was at to help me finish up washing yarn. And he had on flip-flops. And he took a step up, and the other foot that was like all his weight was on, the flip-flop, his foot slipped out of the flip-flop, and he landed with all of his weight on his left kneecap on our concrete porch. Y'all, I heard him. I heard it hit. And it was one of those moments where like you were scared to look. And all I looked over and I saw was him laying like face down. And I'm just like, I don't even know. It was like so many things running through my head. So when he looked at me, I was like, oh, thank God. Because I thought he landed on his face. And I'm like, oh my goodness. So he turns over and he's like, oh, my knee. And y'all, it looked like immediately, it looked like there was a golf ball in his pants. Like it was raised up that much. And I'm like, oh, this poor man. So he just kind of laid there for a minute, and I'm like, trying to stay calm. Can I get you anything? Like, we need to put ice on it. Like, anyways, this poor man, he's tough. He went to work the next day, and he was just trying to take it easy as much as possible. I think he finally went to the doctor a couple days later, and they gave him a shot. They did x-rays and told him it wasn't broken. So then he's like, I think I'm good. I just need to rest it as much as I can. But, being on his feet all day at work was not resting it. So long story short, I want to say a couple of days later or the next week, I can't remember, he ended up going to a place that like specializes in, the word left me. Anyways, he ended up going to a place that kind of like specializes in those types of injuries. So they sent him for an MRI, and he ended up having the MRI. Now it's all kind of coming back to me. He ended up having an MRI, I think the Monday before his birthday. So his birthday was November 6th. So that Monday. And I remember my mom was here by this point. So he went for an MRI. And at this point, like, he was really, really hurting. Like, when he was taking a lot of half days at work when he could, and he would just come home and like elevate his knee and ice it. So he went for an MRI. The follow-up appointment was November 6th on his birthday. And that was the day that he found out he was more than likely going to have surgery. So he drove over to Oxford, which is about 45 minutes from our house, and to meet with them to get the results from his MRI. And they're like, okay, you're probably going to have surgery, but the surgeon wants to meet with you before we decide. And he has an appointment today. So he drove back home, picked up me and my mom. Then we went north instead of east and drove like an hour north to meet with the surgeon. So it was a really long day for him. And the surgeon, what I really liked about the surgeon is that he wasn't like, this is going to end up being a long story. I'm so sorry. Let me get to the point. Okay. What I really liked about the surgeon is he wasn't like, yep, you're going to have surgery. He was like, okay, surgery is last resort. Let's see if we can get that quad muscle to move. So his quad was completely dead. And he's like, if we can get that quad muscle to move, we won't have to do surgery. So they told us to use a TENS unit on the muscle stimulator part. So I had one at home, and we started doing that. I'm like, we're going to shock this thing back to working. I don't want you to have surgery. And of course we prayed about it, and we're like, Lord, we know that you can heal him however you want to. And if healing comes from surgery, then that's what we'll do. So we prayed about it. He kept doing all the things with the muscle stimulator. And then we had a follow-up appointment with him that Friday, and he ended up having to have surgery. So this is what happened. He ruptured his patellar tendon. and the doctor had to go in and repair it and then anchor that tendon back to his knee. And he said what they use is basically like a drywall anchor that they put through the tendon to like anchor it back to his knee. And it's one of those surgeries that the recovery is really long for. So that happened on, I want to say it was the 14th of November. So that's been an adventure. He did not go back to work after that. So he's been out of work since like the beginning of November. So life was pretty interesting there for a couple weeks. He really couldn't do anything for himself. Like he couldn't lift his leg. So I was leg lifter, and you know, it was just we just had to find a new normal where you're used to your spouse being able to like do everything, get dressed, you know, take a shower, all that stuff. And yeah, it was interesting, but I'm so grateful that it could have been so much worse. The good thing is that after his surgery, he really wasn't in pain. We were kind of freaked out that he was going to be in a lot of pain, and he really wasn't in any pain. So that was such a blessing. And the other good news is, after surgery, they had him in a brace that went from like his mid thigh almost all the way down to his ankle, and it kept his leg straight. So that was like super uncomfortable for him to, you know, like even get up, get down, go to sleep. Like he slept in a recliner for months. Anyways, he was supposed to be in that for 3 months, and he got out of it an entire month early. So that was amazing. I want to say it was right before Christmas. I actually think it was more than a month early. Yeah, we had an appointment with a surgeon the 23rd of December, and he told him that he could be in that brace like another week. And then they transitioned to him to a shorter brace that still kept his knee locked, but it was so much easier to get around. And I think he was in that locked position for like a week, and then they reset it to where it would bend. So that's where we're at now. He's been going to physical therapy twice a week, and that has really helped a lot. So that's like the adventure that's been going on over here. And I had just started back to work part-time in October. So that was interesting too. I'm working for Kroger Pharmacy in Oxford, which is about 45 minutes away, but it's a college town, and I just like the atmosphere over there better. And I'm working for some of my old bosses. So I'm happy to be back at Kroger, and I'm really just working like 1 or 2 days a week, and that has helped out a lot with my husband not working right now. So it's been a lot going on, but everything's good. Like that's what I keep coming back to, is like it could have been so much worse, and I'm just grateful that he hasn't been in pain and that everything has just fallen into place. So God has really been good to us there. So I just wanted to explain for those of you that are not like in my yarn club and didn't know, or if you don't follow me on Instagram, that's what's been going on over here. And the great news is that life has slowly been getting back to normal. My husband's cooking again, so we are meal prepping again, which I knew was a big help, but I didn't realize how much of a help it was until we weren't doing it. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have been so spoiled with him cooking up the meats for, you know, the week or whatever. And then I just cook the vegetables or whatever we're going to eat for sides. And then when that come to like a screeching halt, and I'm like having to figure out dinner every night, and I was like, wow, I'm really spoiled. He was itching to get back to cooking, and I was looking forward to him to get back to cooking. So he's been doing that for a couple weeks now, and life's just kind of slowly getting back to normal. So it's been really nice. So that's just a little bit of what has been going on over here. And I sure have missed my community and podcasting and being more active on social media. I'm glad that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and we are hoping that on the 13th of this month, February, that he will get released from the doctor to go back to work. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you stuck around to the end, thank you for listening to all the life stuff. I'm also going to share some fun little Samson videos at the end of this. So stick around to see our crazy little Frenchie and all the joy that he brings us. He definitely keeps life interesting. So until next time, happy yarning. Bye for now.
Can I see that?
can I have it? Hey, come here. Let me have that. Can I have that? Be a good boy. Sammy. Samson. Sit. 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 Let me have it. Be a good boy. Be a good boy. Let me have it. Samson. Let me have it. Sammy, be a good boy. Be a good boy. Let me have it. Samson, leave it. Leave it. Leave it. Be a good boy. Hey, Samson. Let me have, bring it here. Let me have it. Sammy, let me have it. Be a good boy. Sammy, be a good boy. Let me have it. Good boy. Oh, goodness. Look at this. He's really trying to get that handle. Uh-oh, did he get it? I think he got it. He might be too tired. Oh, he got the handle. These boxes flew off of our back porch with all the wind. And the good thing about having a dog that's obsessed with boxes is he went and fetched them out of the woods for me. But I don't know how I'm going to get them back from him because he's a little bit crazy. He is not. Look at him. He's like hugging it. He just can't get any cuter. All right, I got one box from him. Let's see if we can get the other one. The thing is I got one box because I tricked him with the other box. Hey, be a good boy. Be a good boy. Can I have it? I'll take that as a no. Hey, it's too cold out here. Let me have it. Be a good boy. Be a good boy. Let me have it. Thank you. Thank you.